Hi, everybody, and welcome to English Digest. I'm Pat.
And I'm Elsie.
And today we're looking at our topic-based writing unit, which is about using dictionaries. Are you somebody who uses dictionaries much, Elsie?
I think so. I use dictionaries to look up the meaning of words I don't understand. So I think they're very useful.
Mm-hmm. Do you use them in your professional life much?
Yeah. So when I work, before I teach, or when I'm doing some editing work, I'll just use them to make sure that I got the words right.
Okay. I mean, we use them as writers when we're writing our articles. Sometimes we'll use a word and our Taiwanese co-workers will want to just double-check which definition of the word we're using.
Right.
And unfortunately, it can get quite confusing as there are about 8 different dictionaries and the wording in them all is slightly different.
Oh, and I also like to use collocation dictionaries.
Mm-hmm.
I can learn how to use the word properly and learn more about this word.
Yeah, that's definitely useful. I did try to read the dictionary when I was a lot younger, just to try and learn a lot of words. You know, I'd skip over the easy ones, but just kind of go through a few pages between other things, just learn some words.
So did you try to memorize the whole dictionary?
No, I'm not going to go that far, but just you hope that by reading a few pages, a few more sink in, and then you go, oh, there's a word I know. But anyway, this article is all about using dictionaries for language learning, so the sort of thing you guys might do. But is it a good thing or a bad thing? That's what our article's about. Let's look at the topic and instructions.
今天的提示呢，我们看到的是字典，无论是电子或是纸本的，对于语言的学习者呢，能够提供莫大的帮助。因此，许多人喜欢仰赖字典里面理解生字，并且累积字汇量。但是也有些人认为呢，碰到单字不要靠字典，应该靠文意去推敲字义。请你写一篇英文作文，说明你对此议题的看法。文分2段。第一段呢，首先回答你认为学习外语的时候是否需要字典的辅助，并解释你的理由。第二段接着说明你在学习外语的时候经常使用哪些方式理解跟记住新的单字。那文长至少是120个单词。
So here we're discussing the question about whether we should use dictionaries when you're learning a language. Does using them hurt or help? The important thing to remember is that there are a range of opinions here. There isn't a right or wrong answer. For some people, they'll say, yes, it's great, and others will say, no, I don't think it is. There isn't a yes or no. It's just your opinion. So we want the first paragraph to answer the question with reasons, while the second one discusses more about different methods for learning vocab words. And since this is about us, we'll be using first person. I believe this, I do this. If you want to quote someone, like a teacher who gave good advice, you could do that too. Mostly we'll be using present tense as in the first paragraph, you're writing about what you think now. And the second paragraph also present tense because it's what you do as a habit when you're learning vocabulary.
这一篇呢是要写你对此议题的看法，所以是没有对错的哦。然后记得刚刚 Pat 所提到的，我们要用的是 first person， 也就是第一人称来写。那再来我们要进到 develop and approach 这边。何谓叙述论说文呢？叙述论说文指的是一篇文章当中涵盖叙述跟论说的2种文体，近期频繁的出现在学测或指考作文当中哦，所以同学们要特别注意。像是呢110年的你对英语授课要如何因应与规划，还有109年的校园安全的重要性跟采取措施，再来就是108年的台湾最让你感到骄傲的面向跟行销的方式。好，这一些都是此类的文体。那第一部分你要先针对主题加以论说，提出结论。第二个部分再依照结论的叙述某个现象、经验或是事件。那这2部分的顺序也是可以对调的哦。
Yeah, we call this kind of essay a narrative discourse. You start with an opinion and your supporting reasons and your conclusion, but in the second half it's more like a story, a narrative that matches the conclusion of your first paragraph. Now you could do this the other way round. You could describe a typical experience first, and in the second paragraph you explain why this is your method and your reasons to support it.
那接下来我们要看到的是怎么写什么。英文作文的架构上啊，基本分为引言 introduction， 文章的主体 body， 还有结论 conclusion。好，这边当然也是要用这样的架构来发展的。
So, as with all essays, we need an introduction to let people know what the topic is about. You need a body that gives either the story or the reasons, so each paragraph will have its own body. One has the reasons, the other has the story. And then you need a conclusion, probably a conclusion two types, a conclusion to the paragraph that explains your reasons, and a conclusion of the overall essay that brings it back to the main point.
那我们现在先说到 introduction 引言的部分。那引言呢，就是要说明文章要探讨的主题跟动机。全文的主旨句，也就是 thesis statement， 常在第一段就点出来。那以本次题目学习外语时是否该使用字典为例啊 ，introduction 有以下几种的写法。第一个可以先说明多数人可能的想法跟选择，再提出自己的选择，像是我们的基础范文，好，等一下会看到就是用这样子的方式写成的。第二个呢，我们可以直接破题，点出自己对题目的看法，那就像是我们的进阶范文。
So your introduction should be short and straight to the point. You'll want to use the word dictionary in the first or maybe the second sentence, and also state your thesis of whether they're good or bad when you're trying to use a language also early on.
那接下来到 body， 也就是文章主体的部分，主要分为两大部分。依照题目要求，第一个部分必须要先解释是否需要使用字典，好，你的理由是什么？这是议论的部分。两篇范文呢，分别以大众跟个人的角度表明其立场之后啊，随即就补充理由支持自己的想法。那第二个部分呢，我们必须要举出的是自己的学习经验，这个就是叙述的部分了。要注意提出的经验或是事件呢，必须要呼应第一部分的选择跟理由哦，以维持文章的一致性跟连贯性。
So the body is all the key information. You give all your reasons to support your thesis statement from the introduction. And if you can, show that you appreciate that there are one or more than one other points of view. If you like dictionaries, accept there are reasons that make them less useful, and vice versa. If you don't like them, admit, yeah, I can see how some people do like them. This shows that you've considered the question carefully. For the second paragraph, just use your experience. There's a quote, write what you know. This is good writing advice no matter what kind of thing you're writing, so just make it clear, descriptive, and interesting.
那再来要到了 conclusion， 也就是文章结论的部分，要说明意义、体会跟影响，接续主体。那文章最后呢，可以对自己的记忆法提出反省哦，它对你的外语学习有什么样的帮助？可否持续的采用呢？还是有哪些部分需要调整？你可以在 conclusion 的地方点出来。
A conclusion should be short and it shouldn't really introduce any new information. Wrap things up and link back to the introduction and the main idea of your essay, dictionaries and their use in learning a language. So that's kind of explaining what we need to do with this essay. There are different approaches you can take, and the approach you take is going to be decided by your answer to the question. Are dictionaries useful or not? Our samples show both sides of that opinion. The basic sample talks about, yes, they're great, and the more advanced sample says, maybe they're not so good. But either way, you need to make an outline. So let's see how this basic sample works by looking at its outline. We can see how all the points are set out. It starts with paragraph 1, the introduction, and the introductory kind of thesis statement is, learning a foreign language is difficult, so students should use any tool that can help them. So we've introduced the idea of learning a foreign language. The second clause of that sentence mentions tools. Dictionaries are tools, so this sets up what's going to follow. It's not quite given the thesis statement of yes, use them or don't, but it's introduced all the ideas we need to continue reading.
这边呢，连结了学习外语和工具并用的重要性哦。那工具在说的就是字典，所以接下来就可以在作文当中啊，点出字典还有它的重要性是什么。
So now we see the points in the body. We've got A, For me, dictionaries are one of the best tools. And so here is the main thesis statement. And this little first part, for me, this shows that this is an opinion of the writer rather than a definite fact.
For me 带出自己的观点，然后呢，这个作者可以做什么事情 ？The writer can introduce the reasons and details to support his or her own opinion.
Yeah, so we've got the thesis statement here as the start of the body. Now we've got the reasons to support this. B, they can be used to look up the meanings of words. And C, they include definitions, parts of speech, and examples. So these are the pretty much basic reason for using dictionaries. Very clear examples, very obvious examples, exactly what you'd expect. You start with the most obvious stuff and then maybe think of some more creative ideas a bit later.
好啦，所以我们现在看到呢，他讲到了学外语，然后连接到这个工具，也就是字典的重要性，再来带出了自身观点，还有原因。接下来就要带到自己喜欢的线上字典上面去。
So the final part of the first paragraph is the slightly more complicated or detailed reason. D, online dictionaries are the best kind, as we can look up new words on our phones. So you can see why we put this last, as it makes logical sense to put it after the other points have already been mentioned.
是的，因为这是比较细节的部分。好，再来呢，我们要到了文章主体了 ，the body part.
Yep, let's look at the paragraph 2. So this is all about learning vocabulary. And we've got it starting, when I'm in English class or reading something in English, I often come across words I don't know. So this is a very good introductory sentence. And as you can see, this could have been the introduction to the whole essay, not just the second paragraph. And I point this out to show how you could change the paragraph order and have this paragraph first and the other one second, and the essay would still work.
那第二段呢，这边接着说明啊，你在学习外语的时候，经常使用哪些方式理解跟记住新单字。那刚刚 Pat 有提醒我们，你的第一段、第二段顺序是可以交换的。
So now we have the method in the right order in the body of this paragraph. A, I use my dictionary to find out what they mean. B, I read example sentences in my dictionary. C, I write the words and a sentence on a card to help me remember them.
这边呢，我们看到作者列出来的是他使用字典的方式，好，总共有3点，都是他日常生活当中接触字典的样貌。
And finally, the concluding sentence, the whole process doesn't take long, so it doesn't slow me down. So we're showing a benefit to this method, and so we're supporting the thesis statement in the first paragraph. We're saying dictionaries are quick, they don't slow you down, you can get what you need and then move on. Pretty solid conclusion.
作者最后呢，再次点出，其实使用字典是不会拖到你的时间的，而且呢，它是轻松、简单、能够使用的工具。
So you've figured out your outline, you've made some bullet points. Of course, these sentences aren't necessarily full sentences. And when you're writing your outline, you don't even need to be grammatically correct. Just get your structure down so you can follow it when you write the full thing. And when you've got your outline, you can then add more details, transition words and phrases to turn it into a full essay. Follow that logical structure. Don't leave out any details. But this outline will also help you see, oh, I've got too much information there, or this point isn't related to my thesis statement, or, I need a bit more information to support this one. The outline is necessary because it keeps your writing to the point. It helps you cut out information you don't need or find places where you do need to add maybe another reason, some other supporting detail. Okay, we're going to take a short break right now, and when we come back, we'll be reading through the 2 samples, looking at what they do and what they say, and checking out some of the vocabulary and grammar inside them. So let's start out by looking at the basic sample. Learning a foreign language is really difficult, so students should use any tool that can help them. For me, dictionaries are one of the best tools available. They can be used to look up the meanings of words quickly. They're great because they include definitions, parts of speech, and examples. Online dictionaries are the most convenient kind, as we can use our phones to look up new words when we see them. When I'm in English class or reading something in English in my spare time, I often come across words I don't know. I use my dictionary to find out what they mean. I also read example sentences in my dictionary to see how to use the words. I then write the words and a sentence on a card to help me remember them. The whole process only takes a minute, and I can get on with what I'm doing. So this sample follows the outline we've already given earlier, a few extra details added, a few transitions, everything to flesh it out, just like we talked to. A few things to look at from this essay, from this sample, are some phrases. Part of speech. Part of speech means what kind of word it is. An adjective, a verb, a noun, an adverb, and so on.
Part of speech 指的就是词性，那同学们一定知道词性的重要性。好，那有哪一些词性呢？当然就是形容词啦、动词啦、名词等等的。好，所以 part of speech 在文章当中被点出来了，这是你在用字典的时候可以看到的东西。
Yeah, very important thing to learn when you're learning new words, because you might also learn some words can be more than one part of speech. It could be a verb and a noun. Could be used as an adjective as well, depending on how you fit it in. And looking at the dictionary will give you all those examples. We also see the phrasal verb come across. To come across something is to meet it or encounter it. Obviously, the context will change, but here, come across, when you're reading, oh, there's a word I don't know. I have encountered it. It wasn't really planned, but I've just met it.
Come across 代表是偶然碰到。So I can also say I came across my high school teacher yesterday on the street.
Yeah, again, it's an unplanned meeting. You just didn't plan to see each other, but oh, there you are. I've encountered you. I've met you. We came across each other. Next word or phrase we're going to look at is, in the final sentence, it's to get on with what I'm doing. To get on with something means to continue what you're doing. You're in a task, you're in the middle of it, and you then attempt to finish that task. The teacher might say, everybody, please get on with your work while I give out the next assignment, or please get on with things while I step out of the room, something like that.
Get on with 代表的就是你持续做你本来就在做的事情。
Okay, so that's the basic sample, and it's pretty simple. It follows our outline. It gives very obvious reasons for why a dictionary would be useful. Would you agree with it, Elsie?
Yeah, of course.
And you would use a dictionary this way?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, let's look at a counter-argument in the advanced sample, which takes not quite the opposite opinion, but definitely a different look at it. So, advanced sample. In my considered opinion, nothing holds back students of a foreign language more than a reliance on dictionaries. At the first sign of a word they don't know, many students give up trying to understand it through context and just reach for their crutch. It's no different from asking a teacher to tell them the answer. Either way, they are admitting that they can't figure it out by themselves. In this way, they fail to develop the learning strategies they'll need to succeed when they try getting by in a foreign language in the real world. There's no magic trick to dealing with unfamiliar words in a foreign language, just a lot of hard work and perseverance. When I encounter an English word I don't know, I'll read the rest of the sentence. If that doesn't provide the necessary clues to comprehend the word, then I'll read the next sentence, and even the whole paragraph if necessary. I'll also consider the part of speech it is and check to see if the word is used elsewhere within the passage in a context that will help me understand its meaning. Once I've figured it out, I'll write down the word in my notebook, and try to come up with several example sentences of my own that demonstrate how the word can be used. It's not always easy, but the results are worth it. So yeah, it is pretty much the opposite point of view, following the same paragraph structure, and in some cases, the method of learning words has similarities. They use cards. They write it down. Writing things down is a really good way to help you remember stuff. It just adds a bit of extra muscle. It adds an activity. It's an extra step of building connections in your brain. We have some other words, phrases, and ideas to look at here, but we're going to start with the grammar.
Yes, we have to pay attention to this. Nothing more than. 这个用法呢，它代表的是没有点点点比某人事物更点点点。这是什么意思呢？言下之意就是某人事物是最如何如何的。那所以呢，我们在使用这个句型的时候要特别的小心哦。像是呢，我们可以这样说 Nothing I've eaten is tastier than my grandmother's cooking. She makes the best food. 代表呢，我吃过的料理没有比我阿嬷做的更好吃，所以代表她做的是最棒的。
So this is a way of using a superlative, basically, but giving a bit of extra emphasis by adding the negative word nothing, nobody, no one. Just a quick note also, we've got in my considered opinion. We add that word considered to the writer is saying, I have thought about it. We also saw the phrasal verb hold back. Nothing holds back students more than this. To hold somebody back means to limit or restrict somebody, to stop them from progressing or improving.
Hold back 代表就是阻碍某人的发展，所以这个进阶范文当中，作者认为你去大量的使用字典，去依赖字典，这个是会阻碍你学英文的这件事情跟过程。
So in that same sentence, we have the word reliance. This is the noun form of the verb to rely. Reliance is the feeling that you need something to complete a particular task. Now, it's okay to have a reliance on a person, like, I've got a reliance on this person to do this thing for me. That might be necessary, but if you rely on something too much, if your reliance on it is too strong, that is negative, that holds you back.
Reliance 好，我们这边看到的是名词，代表仰赖、依赖。那动词形式是 rely, R-E-L-Y.
So the next sentence in the article has the use of try followed by the infinitive, and then later on in the passage we've got try followed by a gerund. Generally, try plus to plus verb means an attempt or an effort to do something. With the VING form, it's more of an experiment or test to achieve a particular outcome. But you always need to look at the context of how it's used in the sentence, because this is only a general rule and there may be exceptions.
是的，所以当我们要用的是 try to 后面加原形动词的话，是表示为达到某目标而去努力做尝试。那如果你看到的是 try doing something， 那表示的呢是以某方式尝试做。So here's an example sentence. Exercising is important, which is why I try to run at least 5 miles twice a week. 这边看到的是 try to do something, 也就是他一周努力尝试跑5英里2次。
Okay, we've also got the word crutch in the article. When we're talking literally, a crutch is something you use to help you walk if you have a broken leg, a damaged ankle, you put it under your arm and it's almost like an extra leg that you can use. But when we're using it more figuratively, a crutch is a source or means of support or assistance that's relied on heavily. So if you're walking with a crutch, sure, you need that crutch until your leg is healed and stops being broken. You can put weight on it again. But here, crutch is used in a negative way. If you have a crutch, it's saying like, I can't do this thing without this thing. And people talk about caffeine, like, I can't function in the morning unless I have my coffee. In that case, coffee is kind of your crutch.
The crutch 在这边有特别的意思哦，当然也是当名词用，不过它代表的是过度的依赖。
So we did look at the second phrase, try to get by, try getting by in a foreign language. The phrasal verb getting by means to just kind of keep going, keep doing something. Maybe you're not 100% successful. Maybe you're doing something without everything you need to be successful, but it's just a matter of keeping going in a situation that's not perfect, doesn't always have the best outcome, but you're getting by, you're surviving, you're doing okay.
OK， 所以呢，这个 get by 代表就是含糊的去做，勉强的应付，过一天是一天的那种感觉。
So the point the writer is trying to make with this first paragraph is if you have to stop every time you meet an unfamiliar word and go, wait, I need my dictionary, that's the only way I'll understand it, then you're going to be slow to learn. You're not going to use your own brain to figure things out. In the real world, if you are looking or talking to somebody, you might not be able to go, stop, I need my dictionary, something like that. It won't work like that. If your English skills if you're not able to read for context and read to get the general idea of what's going on, you probably won't be able to use English as well in business. Studying is different. You've got time to look things up, but in the real world, you don't always have that time, so a reliance on dictionaries can be a problem. So in the second paragraph, we've got a few more words to look at here. We've got the word perseverance. That's the noun form of the verb persevere. To persevere means to keep going even when faced by difficulty or failure. So perseverance is that ability. The ability to go, I'm not giving up, I'm going to keep going and I'll get there in the end.
Perseverance 这边是名词，代表的是努力不懈这件事情。那动词是 persevere。So
the last word we're going to look at is the word comprehend, and this is just simply a synonym for understand.
没错，所以就是理解的意思。
Okay, so now you've had the advanced sample, Elsie, and of course you're a teacher. How do you feel about the second one?
I agree with the second one too. So we can rely too much on dictionaries, but we can try to use it in a right way, in an effective way.
Right. So I think the real answer then is there is a middle ground. Yes, dictionaries can be useful.
Yes.
But it's really important if you do want to boost your English skills to learn the skills of reading for context. Don't just stop when you hit a word, because if you finish the sentence, you might go, oh, okay, I can guess what that word is. You might also read the rest of the sentence and realize, wait a minute, that's a proper noun. That's a place or somebody's name. It won't be in a dictionary, so there's no point in me looking it up.
Right.
But if I'd read the rest of the sentence, I would have figured that out.
Right, so try to guess the meaning of the word you don't understand with the context clues.
Yeah.
And if you really want to know what the word means, you can maybe write it down on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And after you read the article or the book, you can go back to the dictionaries to check the word.
Exactly. Go and check your understanding later, but definitely try and figure it out first before you just grab a dictionary. Okay, that is all the time we have for today. I hope that's been a useful exercise in writing and also a few useful tips for learning English. Thanks for listening, everybody. For English Digest, I'm Pat.
I'm Elsie.
We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.